Okay, I'm uh, I'm trying to put together a little how-to video on doing Soundjack with a Windows PC, Windows 10. Uh, there are 1,000 ways of doing this, and let's just hope that this one works best, or that it might help you. Um, so one of the things that I always have open is my task manager, which is very helpful for seeing which processes are running. And I recommend that you do that. So I'm currently looking at my apps that are open here. As you can see, I've got Soundjack running. Um, so I'm just going to turn Soundjack off now so that I can kind of demonstrate. The first thing that you're going to have to do is acquire there's a software package called ASIO4all. ASIO4all.org is where it's located. And when you go there, it takes you to a very simple website where if you click this, it downloads an executable. When I double click on this, it opens up this installer file, which you're going to then follow the process of installing it. Now, I already have it, so I won't be installing it now. But I'll show you where it exists. Once it's installed, it exists in Windows Program Files x86 ASIO4all version 2. That's the path. And this is the control panel for it. ASIO4all panel launcher x64. Now hopefully you're not going to actually have to manually start this, but this will at least let you know that it's there. Okay, so once you've got ASIO4all, you've already got Soundjack. We're going to start up Soundjack, and you might have downloaded Soundjack, say to your downloads folder, and it may exist in this downloads folder. If you open up the Soundjack folder, you'll find that there is a list of programs in there. Most of them are links. But this one right here is executable. Here's what I do. I right click on that. When I right click on this Soundjack executable, I'm going to go to create shortcut. It creates a shortcut. As you can see, it's right next to it. Then I just drag this into my desktop or wherever I want to have access to the Soundjack program. So I just drag it in, and I've already done that once, so I don't need two of them. Anyway, Now that you've got this shortcut to the Soundjack.exe, whenever you want to start Soundjack, you just double click on the shortcut, it starts up. And I like to leave this open just in case there's a message that comes up, but you can minimize it. If you X this out, then it will close Soundjack, and we don't want to close Soundjack. So if you go down here to this caret that says Show Hidden Icons, click that once, it'll bring up a list of various applications, and this is Soundjack right here, this thing that looks like a microphone jack. So that lets you know that it's running. So Soundjack's running. We've already installed ASIO4all. So let's go to our browser. I like to use Chrome because it seems to be the only one that's currently working with Soundjack. Go to the Soundjack website, dev.soundjack.eu. I'm already signed in. You have to be signed in to do this. And we go to the public stage at this point. When you arrive at the public stage, you're going to see various choices over here that we talked about. And what you want to choose in this drop-down menu here is ASIO4all v2. Same thing in this one. So both your input and your output should be set to ASIO4all v2. And mine are set that way. Now the rest of our settings we talked about in the meeting. In order to test it and to see whether or not your ASIO4all is actually working, as you can see mine's working because I'm getting some signal coming in through my mic. So here's how you make sure that your ASIO4all is working. When you go back to this caret, the icon that we want to look for ASIO4all looks like a green play button. So I click that, and then it'll open up an ASIO4all configuration. I just want to make sure that my microphone input is selected and that the audio output that I'm listening to is also selected. If they're working properly, they'll show up with these nice blue play buttons. If they're not working, they'll have like yellow buttons or there'll be red X's or something like that. So you just want to make sure that you select the correct instances of hardware that you're using. You don't really have to worry about any of this stuff because the Soundjack program will set the buffer size. And you can actually X this out and it won't cause anything to shut down. So that's how you get set up using Soundjack on a PC with the onboard audio. Now, if you were using like a Focusrite audio interface, something like that, then you wouldn't use ASIO4all. You'd be using the actual Focusrite driver instead. So you would choose it here instead of ASIO4all. ASIO4all is for when you're using onboard audio in a Windows PC, like your onboard mic that's on your laptop, or if you plugged a mic into the simple audio jack on your PC. That's when you use ASIO4all. So this should get you started, and you know, once it's working for you, you actually have some success in using this thing. At that point, we're going to having a hard time doing my screen sharing and also getting this to work properly. At that point, you're going to test your sound. You know, you listen to yourself this way and hear how it sounds. You can mute yourself by sliding that. And also, as we talked about in the meeting, you want to test your local host. We want to try to get a setting where with just one jitter buffer, one packet, we still get a good sound. I've found that with my onboard PC audio, I have to have a sample buffer of 128 and a network buffer of 256 in order to make this work. But it works okay for a PC with just a cheap onboard sound card. So it can be done. And of course, your results are much better if you use an external sound card, soundboard, or sound device. And this is how I get set up on Soundjack using Windows 10 and just onboard audio. So your mileage may vary, and probably will, because Windows is incredibly different from person to person. But I hope this gets you started. Thanks for joining me.